They always thought I'd wait, that I'd be there when plans fell through, when someone bailed, when they needed the reliable one. Then I vanished, and everything changed. For me, it was the fourth time they changed the dinner plans without telling me. Not canceled, just moved. Again, I showed up to the restaurant, sat there for 20 minutes sipping water and checking my phone like some lost tourist. Then I called Mason, straight to voicemail. Checked the group chat. There it was, new place, new time. Message sent 2 hours earlier. Nobody bothered to loop me in. Again, it had happened before. Birthdays I found out about through Instagram stories. Group trips where I was welcome to come, only after someone else dropped out. Even the game nights at Tyler's place, which used to be our thing, became this rotating invite-only circle that I somehow stopped rotating into. At first, I laughed it off, told myself they were just busy or someone forgot to hit send. You know how it goes. Everyone grows up, gets distracted, life gets crowded. But deep down I knew. They did not forget. Not really. They just stopped including me unless it made sense for them. I was the backup driver when someone's car broke down. The last-minute fill-in when a table had an empty seat. The guy they kept on the fringe, not out of love or loyalty, but because I was easy, low effort, no demands. I told myself it was temporary, that maybe I had just pulled away too much. Maybe I had not been as present. Maybe, if I stayed patient, things would click back into place. But they never did. And as I sat there that night, pushing ice around in my glass while a server checked on me for the third time, I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger. Not yet. Just a quiet little voice, finally getting loud enough to hear. You were never the first choice. And the worst part? I had known it all along. I did not leave the restaurant right away. Something in me, maybe stubbornness, maybe pride, kept me sitting there, staring at the condensation on my water glass like it held answers. The server came by again, probably feeling bad at that point, and offered to box up something on the house. I told him no thanks. Told him I was just waiting on someone. That lie came too easy. Thing is, this kind of thing had been happening for a while. Not just with friends. It showed up everywhere. Work, family, even my last relationship. At the office, I was the guy they called when the real guy bailed. The one who picked up slack, but never got the credit. I once trained a new hire who got promoted before me. My boss said, "It's not about effort, it's about timing." Whatever that meant. At home, it was no better. My cousin's wedding, I was seated behind a column. No joke, table 11, next to a ficus. When I asked if I could trade spots with someone so I could actually see the ceremony, my aunt said, "You'll be fine. You're tall." And Taylor, my ex, she used to cancel plans with me whenever her old college friends were in town for one night only. That happened at least twice a month. I would be sitting on my couch, dressed, plans made, dinner ideas ready, and I would get the text, "Rain check." I started collecting those words in my head. Maybe next time. Sorry, forgot to tell you. Thought I sent that message. You understand, right? Yeah, I understood too well. I was the fallback guy. They never said it directly. It was never harsh or obvious. But there was this pattern. Like they all thought, he'll still be there. Like I would always be the guy waiting in the restaurant, still willing to smile when they finally showed up. So I kept waiting. For things to change. For someone to choose me first. To call me first. To think of me before the slot opened up. That hope? It clung to me for a long time. Hope makes fools out of people who know better. And I did know better. But I still held on. Right up until the moment it finally broke. And that moment, it started with one simple photo. One I was not supposed to see. It popped up while I was scrolling one night, half asleep on the couch, thumb just moving out of habit. That endless scroll we all do. Feeds full of people pretending they are not lonely. There it was. A group photo from that same dinner I was left out of. The one where I sat alone, sipping lukewarm water in the wrong restaurant. I stared at the screen like it might glitch and change. But nope, there was Mason, grinning wide with his arm around Jenna. Tyler was there too, mid-laugh, holding up one of those oversized margarita glasses they only order when someone's birthday rolls around. My name never showed up in the comments. Not a single "wish you were here" or "next time, man." Just likes, hearts, and inside jokes in the replies. Then I saw something that made my stomach twist. In the far corner of the frame, barely visible, was an extra chair, empty. Napkin folded, plate untouched, drink poured. I knew that spot. That was my seat. I stared at that photo way too long. Zoomed in. Looked at their faces. looked at mine, missing from it again. And the worst part? I could hear their voices in my head. Mason probably forgot to text him. We thought you said you invited him. He always bails anyway. That was the thing. They had built this excuse around me. Like I was the unreliable one. Like I was the one who could not be counted on. All because I stopped jumping every time they called last minute. Truth was, I had started pulling back a little. Not out of spite, just exhaustion. After years of chasing, bending, being the easy yes, I got tired. And when I slowed down, they took that as a sign that I had quit altogether. But I never quit. I just stopped begging to be seen. And in that photo, one that was never meant for me, I saw it clearly. I was not forgotten. I was erased. Not out of malice, but out of convenience. And once that realization landed, it stayed. Something shifted in me after that night. Quiet, subtle, but permanent. It was not rage. Not some Hollywood outburst where I storm in and demand answers. It was something quieter. A decision. And it began with one tiny change. One they did not even notice at first. I stopped replying. I started small. Muted the group chat. Left texts on read. Skipped game night with no excuse this time. Not that anyone asked. I figured if I mattered, someone would notice the silence. Maybe even ask if I was okay. No one did. At work, it was the same playbook. I had always said yes. Covered shifts. Took late calls. Stayed after hours to fix things that were not my job. And somehow, when promotion season came around, it was never me. My manager once said I was indispensable, but in the same breath told me I lacked leadership presence. Whatever that means. Pretty sure it is just corporate for you are useful where you are, stay there. That week, a project came up, big, messy, and time-sensitive. The kind of project they usually dumped on me, knowing I would clean it up without needing credit. I said no. Politely. Professionally. But still no. You would think I had set the place on fire. People looked at me like I had broken some sacred rule. The same folks who walked past me every day without a nod suddenly wanted to know if something was going on. I told them I had a personal matter to attend to, which was true. That personal matter was me. Then came the twist I never saw coming. I had always suspected there was a back channel in the office. Some clique of decision-makers who looped each other into opportunities before they went public. You know, the kind where jobs get filled before the posting goes live. I had heard whispers about a new role opening up. Higher pay, more autonomy, better hours. It was exactly the kind of position I had quietly worked toward. Turns out, the role had already been promised to Josh. Josh, who showed up late at least twice a week. Josh, who forwarded his workload to interns and called it delegation. Josh, who once forgot his own presentation and blamed the projector. But Josh played golf with the director. Josh brought bagels every Friday. Josh knew how to make himself look useful without actually being useful. That was when the fog in my head started to lift. In every part of my life, friends, family, work, I had been surrounded by people who did not value me. They used me, benefited from me. But when it came time to acknowledge, reward, or even just include me, silence. It was not personal. That is what made it worse. It was convenience. And suddenly, I knew what I had to do. The idea came fast. Sharp. Clean. No yelling. No emails. No long messages full of truth they would not read anyway. I would just vanish. It started with a folder on my desktop labeled Exit. Inside, copies of my resume, saved passwords, account backups, a resignation letter with no date typed in, just a blinking cursor waiting for the moment. I did not announce anything. I did not hint at it. No dramatic sighs. No late-night rants. I just got organized. At work, I started logging things more carefully. Not out of duty, just in case someone needed breadcrumbs once I was gone. I did not want to burn anything down. I just wanted to leave clean. Outside the office, I let the friendships die on their own. I stopped reacting. Stopped checking their stories. When Mason tagged me in an old photo for #ThrowbackThursday, I did not like it. When Jenna sent a voice note with "You okay?" after 2 weeks of nothing, I did not respond. And for the first time, I did not feel guilty. I started taking walks. No music. No phone. Just me, breathing, existing without needing to be useful to anyone. It felt strange at first, like I was wearing someone else's shoes. But then it started to feel like mine. One night, I got a call from my sister. She was planning a family dinner and said, "We thought you could bring the wine again. You always know what everyone likes." It was said like a compliment, like a pat on the head. I told her I had other plans. She paused for a beat, like her brain could not quite compute it. Then she said, "All right, next time." But there would be no next time. I finalized the resignation letter that night. Gave 2 weeks' notice in person. My boss blinked at me like I had just spoken in another language. "Where are you going?" she asked. I told her, simply, "Somewhere I am not invisible." The following week, I deactivated the group chat. Did not leave it. Just killed the notifications. Deleted social media accounts they could tag me in. I cleared my calendar of the recurring catch-ups that were always one-sided. No big scene. No final post. No speech. Just gone. And for the first time in a long time, I felt light. But the silence that followed? That is when the noise started. It took exactly 3 days for them to notice. Not the first day, not the second, but by the third, the silence started getting loud. That morning, I woke up to a handful of texts. Not a flood, just enough to know the silence had started to itch at their comfort. The first was from Jenna. "Hey, just realized we haven't heard from you. Everything good?" A simple message. Friendly tone. But I read it like someone checking if the spare key was still under the mat. Not because they missed me, but because they finally needed something. Then Mason sent, "You mad at me or something? Did I say something weird?" Tyler followed up with, "You skipping game night again? You're kind of the glue, man." I stared at those words, the glue. Funny how they only remember glue once things start falling apart. Still, no one said, "I miss you." No one said, "I'm sorry." Just confusion. Like they were looking around for their favorite tool and suddenly realizing it was not in the drawer. At work, the unraveling was more obvious. Janet from accounting sent me an email asking if I had the final vendor breakdown I usually handled. Another email came 5 minutes later from my old team. "Does anyone know where he kept the invoice logs?" I had left them clean notes, clear handoffs, step-by-step guides. But when you build a system around someone who never says no, you forget how to function without them. Later that day, I got a message from HR. Janet's tone was soft and tentative. "We were all surprised by your resignation. Honestly, we really thought you were happy here." That sentence stuck with me. "We thought you were happy here." I wanted to reply, "I thought so too," until I realized happy just meant silent, compliant, invisible. But I said nothing. Let her keep wondering. Meanwhile, the group chat I had muted kept buzzing. I opened it once, just out of curiosity. Mason had posted a photo from the last time we all hung out. My face was barely in frame, just the edge of my shoulder. The caption read, "Back when the crew was complete." Complete? I almost laughed. Because when I was there, I was never really in it. Just the reliable filler. The extra body. The backup plan. Now, without me, they started to feel the gap. Not because they missed me, but because they missed what I did, the texts I sent, the rides I offered, the plans I made, the effort I put in. Then came the voicemail. Mason's voice had this half-guilty, half-confused tone. Like a guy apologizing for something he still did not believe was wrong. "I get it if you needed space. I just wish you said something." I had been saying something. For years. Every time I showed up when I was not invited. Every time I stayed quiet when I was overlooked. Every time I smiled through disappointment. Every one of those was a message. They just never listened. But now, with the silence ringing in their ears, they finally started to hear it. And still, it was too late. Because the version of me who waited around for scraps of consideration, he was gone. I was doing fine, honestly. Better than I expected. There was a strange peace that came with being unreachable. Like I had been carrying this invisible weight for years and finally set it down. My phone barely buzzed now. My evenings were quiet. I started sleeping deeper. Waking up without that low-level tension in my chest. No more waiting to be remembered. And then the past came knocking. This time, in the form of an accidental message. Jenna. She meant to send it to someone else. Probably Mason. Instead, it landed in my inbox. A screenshot of one of my old messages from a few months back, where I had offered to help plan his surprise birthday. I had picked the place, made the reservation, even fronted the deposit without being asked. All with a smile. Underneath the screenshot, she had typed, "He really thought he was part of the core group back then." Wild. That word. Wild. Like it was absurd that I ever believed I belonged. I stared at it for a long time. Longer than I should have. Because I trusted Jenna. We had history. Late-night phone calls during breakups. Inside jokes about bad movies. She once cried on my shoulder when her mom got sick. I had never told anyone her secrets, not once. I thought she was different. Thought she was real. Turns out, even she kept me around for convenience. I was her emotional support in a pinch, her venting space, her unpaid therapist. And when I stopped playing that role, I became a punchline. I did not respond. She realized the mistake about 10 minutes later. Tried to unsend it. Then came the follow-up texts. I didn't mean that. It was taken out of context. Please don't take it the wrong way. But I did, because there was no other way to take it. She showed me exactly what they thought of me when I was not looking. And that moment, right there, that was when something inside me settled for good. Not anger, not even disappointment, just clarity. These people, they were never going to see me. Not fully, not honestly. And the version of me that tried so hard to earn their care, he was finished. I deleted the messages, archived the entire thread, removed her from my contacts. And this time, it felt like peace. Not spite, not revenge, just release. But the funny thing about absence, once it becomes permanent, people panic. And I had no idea just how far some of them were willing to go to pull me back in. It started with Mason showing up at my apartment. I knew he would. That guy never liked not knowing where he stood. I watched through the peephole as he knocked twice, then waited, holding a six-pack in one hand, and that forced smile he always used when he needed something. I did not open the door. He knocked again, called my name. Said he just wanted to talk. Said he missed me. Funny how nobody misses you until you are no longer useful. When I did not respond, he slid a note under the door. It was short. Said there was going to be a party next weekend. Just the old crew. He wrote, would mean a lot if you came. I left the note there. Did not even bother picking it up. 3 days later, Tyler called from a new number. Left a voicemail acting like we had just lost touch by accident. Said everyone had been thinking about me. It's not the same without you, man. The kind of message that sounds sincere if you play it fast enough. Then came Jenna's email. Long, emotional. Crafted like a PR apology. She said she had been in a bad place when she sent that message. That I misunderstood the tone. That things had gotten twisted. She ended with, you're still one of the most important people in my life. Please don't throw it all away over a mistake. A mistake. That word sat wrong in my stomach. No. A mistake is forgetting someone's birthday. A mistake is mispronouncing a name. What she did, that was a confession. A glimpse behind the curtain. And now, she was scrambling to stitch the curtain back up. I realized something in those days. They did not miss me. They missed the version of me who filled gaps. Who said yes without thinking. Who gave more than he got and smiled through it. The guy who never made them feel bad about taking advantage of him. That guy was useful. But I, as I really was, quiet, burned out, finally drawing lines. I was inconvenient. And they were not reaching out because they saw my worth. They were reaching out because they felt the loss of their own comfort. That next weekend, I saw pictures from the party Mason had mentioned. They posted the usual blurry group shot. All smiles, drinks held high. The caption said, back like we never left. Except something was different. The comments were quieter than usual. Fewer hearts. Fewer jokes. A few replies asking, where's Nate? I did not answer. They were starting to notice what I had known for years. I was never the extra. I was the thread holding things together. And when the thread pulls out, everything starts to unravel. A week passed. Then another. The texts slowed. The calls stopped. The invitations dried up. It was like they had finally accepted it. Not with grace, but with silence. The kind of silence that does not ask questions anymore. Just lets things die. And I thought that would be it. Until one morning, I opened my email and saw her name. Taylor. Yeah, that Taylor. The ex. I had not heard from her in almost a year. Not since she packed her things in a hurry and left my apartment half empty, saying she needed to find herself. Spoiler. She found herself dating someone else 2 weeks later. But there she was. Her message was long. Thoughtful, at least in appearance. Said she had been doing some thinking. Said she had been watching from a distance. Saw I left the job. Saw I was off the grid. She told me she missed our talks. That her current relationship was falling apart. That things were not as good as they seemed. Then she said it. Maybe we gave up too soon. I sat with that line for a long time. Once upon a time, those words would have gutted me. Would have opened that old door in my chest. The one I kept shut with locks made of false hope. But now, I just felt tired. Because even this reaching out, it was not really about me. It was about comfort. About someone remembering how safe it felt to lean on me. People always seem to come back when life gets cold. They remember the warmth you gave them. But not once did they stop to wonder if you were warm yourself, or just burning to keep them comfortable. I did not reply to Taylor's message, just like I did not reply to Jenna, or Mason, or Tyler, because what none of them ever understood was this. I never needed a spotlight. I never wanted applause. I was not looking to be celebrated. All I ever needed was to be chosen. Not when it was convenient. Not when someone else dropped out. Chosen. But they made their choices. And now, so have I. So I closed the laptop, took a deep breath, and for the first time in a long time, I looked out the window, not wondering who was thinking about me. I just watched the world move. Quiet. Clean. The weight was gone. But there was still one thing left to do. And I knew exactly where I had to go. I did not go back to them. I went back to me. There was a coffee shop downtown I used to pass every week, but never stepped inside. Always too busy. Always somewhere else to be. This time, I went in. The place was small, quiet, filled with that warm, roasted smell that sinks into your clothes and lingers like something you want to remember. I ordered something new. Took a window seat. Let the minutes pass without checking my phone. No meetings. No expectations. Just stillness. Outside, people moved like they always do. Fast. Distracted. Wrapped up in things that seemed urgent. And for once, I was not racing with them. I thought about who I used to be. The guy who rearranged his entire schedule just to be the plus one no one remembered inviting. The one who answered every 2 a.m. call, who filled the silence at every dinner table, who smiled through every moment he should have walked away from. He was kind, loyal. He wanted so badly to matter. But he forgot that he already did. I do not hate him. I do not resent who I was. I just finally understand why he had to go. As I sat there, sipping my coffee, a song played over the speakers. Something slow and familiar. And for the first time in what felt like years, I did not feel like background noise in my own story. I was the main character now. No applause. No grand reinvention. Just a return. To self-respect. To boundaries. To being okay with not being included if it meant no longer being used. The messages have stopped completely now. No more "where are you?" No more "let's catch up." And I do not need them to start again. Because here is the truth. When you stop being their backup, their second choice, their afterthought, you finally make space to become your own priority. And when they realize you are really gone, not just distant, but unreachable, it will rattle them. But by then, it will be too late. Because some of us do not slam doors. We just stop knocking. And some exits? They echo louder than any goodbye ever could.